Shalom, how's everyone doing? Today's day 24 of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and we'll be learning Siman Gimel, Seif Ches. Okay, let's begin. Yesh li zahir, a person should be careful, shelo yelech ish bein shtei nashim, that a man should not walk between two women, velo bein shnei klavim, or between two dogs, o shnei chazirim, or between two pigs, vechein lo yanichu ha'anashim shetelech beineim isha o kelav o chazir. And similarly, two men should not allow a woman to go in between them, a dog to go in between them, or a pig to go in between them. Okay, that's what he says. So, if you look at the Gemara in Pesachim, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, it says as follows: Tanu Rabbanan, Shlosha ein mimatzin, velo mismatzin. Right, there are three things that we don't allow to go in between us, and we don't go in between them. Elohein hakelev v'adek v'yisha. Right, just like the Kitzur quotes, a dog. The Gemara adds a palm tree and a woman. V'yish omrim af hachazir. Some people say even a pig. V'yish omrim af hanachash. Some people say even a snake. So that's one Gemara. There's another Gemara. If you look at the Gemara in Hurios, Daf Yud Gimel, it gives a list of things that are kasha l'shecha, that makes somebody forget their learning. And one of the things it mentions is if a man walks in between two women. So the question is, what's the whole big problem? What's the whole big problem about a man walking in between two women and the other things also that the Kitzur mentioned? So if you look in Hurios, there's a Rishon, Rabbeinu Yedaya. He says as follows: the problem of a man walking in between two women is because he's going to have hihurim. He's going to have improper thoughts. So therefore, it's a problem to walk in between two women. That's what Rabbeinu Yedaya says. However, if you look in the Rashbam, over here in Maseches Pesachim, he says it's a ruach ra concern. He says that there are some things that we do, we don't understand why, but there's gonna be this evil impurity that comes upon us, and it will cause sakana. Right, ruach ra always causes sakana. Just like we found by Netilas Yadayim, right before a person washes his hands in the morning, he has like a ruach ra on his hands. That's sakana. So we get it off. So too here, this is another example of a sakana, something that we can't see, but nevertheless, it's a sakana. And like this Rashbam, it's actually mefurish in a Zohar. Zohar in Rus, Daf Pei Alpha and Beis. It says as follows: Tanan ha'over ben shtei nashim, somebody who passes in between two women, im nidos he nichfe, velo tazuz migufo lo yase lo midi. Right, if the two women he walks in between are during the yemei nidos, their nidos, it's going to be very bad. They're going to have to do something because there's going to be a sakanas dam, the Zohar says, or hariga, right? It's something very, it's a very big sakana to walk in between, specifically nidos. V'em ein nidos, let's say they're not nidos, it's still bad. Ayin hara shole bo beguf b'mona, right? They're going to get an ayin hara on their body, or they're going to lose their money. Something bad is going to happen. So the Zohar says, my time, why? Begin tahahu rucha bisha sharasalon, ruach ra. The Zohar is mefurish, ruach ra. Right, so like the Rashbam, that this whole idea that a man can't walk in between these things, right, anisha, these other things, is because of there's a sakana that happens if you do. So if you look in the Ben Yoyad in Maseches Pesachim, he says like, right, the Gemara talks a lot about ruach ra, that there's like this sakana that happens that we can't see, right, just like we found by Netilas Yadayim. So he says we see these days it doesn't really happen. Maybe times have changed. So he wants to know, maybe we don't have to be so particular about this din these days if we don't really see such a sakana. And then he says to be machmir, he says l'chachila we should be careful about these things, but maybe we don't have to. However, the other poskim know, like there's another Gemara in Maseches Hurios, right? Even if you're not going to be concerned about the ruach ra approach that the Gemara in Maseches Pesachim is talking about, but the Gemara in Maseches Hurios clearly says more than a ruach ra concern, there's also a kasha l'shecha concern, that there's still a concern for one to forget their learning. So therefore, we probably should be careful about this. So, Rav Yosef Chaim Zanenfeld, he has a lot of tshuvas on this topic about the idea that a man can't walk in between two women, and he's like, it's in a Sefer Samas Chaim. So I'm just gonna try to sum up some of the things he says. So first off, as he mentions, if you look in all the Rishonim who usually quote things, halacha l'maisa, Rambam, Rifrash, Shulchan Aruch, this halacha is not here, right? They do not bring this down. They do not bring down this idea that a man can't walk in between two women. So he says, do we have to be careful about it? He says yes. Chazal say it, and if you look, Other Sifrei Halacha bring it down. Shulchan Aruch brings it down. Rav Akiva Eiger brings it down. Obviously, the Kitzur here brings it down. So it should be something we should be careful about. But then he gives a list of various heterim, various kulos, when it comes to this din. So first off, we'll start that this halacha of not walking between two women, it's only if the women are in close proximity to each other, right? And he says, and he's actually quoting the Ben Ish Chai, the women have to be within 4 amos of each other for it to be a problem, right? 4 amos is about 6.5 feet. So they're in pretty close proximity, and then you walk in between them. That's the isser of walking between two women, right? If they're further apart, we don't look at it like you're walking between two women. They're so far apart. How can you tell that you're walking between them? So that's going to be heter number 1. Heter number 2 is that this halacha only applies on the road. It doesn't apply in somebody's house, and it's actually pretty clear from the Gemara like that, right? There's another Gemara later on the same daf in Maseches Pesachim, Kuf Yud Aleph, and it says as follows: Hani train Neshay the Yasvan beparshas Darachim. Let's say you have 2 women who are sitting on the road. Chada b'hai gisa d'shvila, one's on this side of the path. V'chada be'irach gisa u'mechaven apayla dade. Right, they're facing each other. They're on the path. V'alei b'chshav maskinan. The Gemara says they're doing witchcraft. That's pretty bad. So my takante, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You have to go a different path. So Samas Chaim wants to prove from here that this halacha only applies on a path, on a road, right? In somebody's house, in somebody's private area, there would be no problem of walking in between 2 women. And actually, if you look in the Yavitz brings down this halacha of not walking between 2 women together with Tfilas Haderech, right? So he also puts it together with the idea of going in the road. Another heter, which actually we probably see from this Gemara, this halacha only applies if the women are standing still, right? Like we see from this Gemara, woman on one side of the path, another woman on the other, man walks in between. But if the women are walking and the man's also walking, that's not considered walking in between 2 women because they're also walking. So that would be heter number 3. Okay, so far we have 3 heterim. It only applies if they're 4 amos within each other. Second, it only applies on a road. 3 only applies if the women are standing still. Then we actually have a heter that the Gemara itself says a couple lines down. Right, the Gemara said that you're really supposed to go a different path. However, let's say there's no other path. Do we tell you to not walk? Like, are you stuck? So it says you're not stuck. If there is another man there, ninketu lidayu bahadade hadade v'nechalfu. Go with him. Take his hand and go with him. Right, so you have 2 women. 1 man walking in between, that's bad. You're walking between 2 women. Oh, if you go with another man, that's not going to be a problem. Why not? I think it's very simple. You're not walking between 2 women. You're walking in between a man and a woman, right? So that's why the Gemara says that's okay. So obviously he brings down that heter that if there's 2 men walking together, that's going to be okay. There is another heter that the poskim talk about, which the Samas Chaim does not agree with, is that if the man's holding a stick, that serves as a separation between the 2 women. So some people say that. He quotes they quote the Sefer Zichron Tov that it says that, but he doesn't like that heter because he says the Gemara gives kulos. We can't add on to the kulos of the Gemara. Right? All the Samas Chaim's kulos he learns from the Gemara. Right? This whole 4 amos thing, that's what he learns from the Gemara, that they're in close proximity. On the derech, that's the case he learns in the Gemara. The woman standing still, he says that's the case. And the 4th, you're walking with another guy. But this whole idea of holding a stick working, that he says that really should not be a heter. But no, the Sefer Zichron Tov does say it. And in the end, he even says that, okay, let's say you don't have a stick. You could hold on to your pace, then that works. Okay, fine. So that's a short summary of this whole idea of not walking between 2 women. Okay, and shkoyach to all those who finished Siman Gimel. We'll start Siman Daled tomorrow.